This week on the Dirthead Shed, we're cutting my buddy Mark's Squarebody GMC in half, turning it into either a hardcore Rockcrawler or junk. We don't know yet. You better lower that thing down before we lose it. Oh gosh, it's getting real now. Taco shop, got my coffee. This episode, I'm back down in San Diego and we're helping my buddy Mark with his Rockcrawler. Mark's helped me out a ton over the last few years on projects, so it's time to pay it back a little bit. Let's go see what he's got going on. First things first, you gotta stop at the taco shop. Everything's expensive, but you can still get 3 rolled tacos and a quesadilla for 10 bucks. Heck yeah. This was like the meal that got me through high school right here. And it looks exactly the same. Here we go. This is Mark's 73 Chevy C10 pickup. This is the current version of his Rockcrawler project. Here was the previous project. Really cool S10 that started out as a 2-wheel drive. And Mark had kind of done a little front half frame section on it and was getting it all set up. It was actually going to be really cool. It still has potential. Like, I don't think this one's totally dead in the water, but that one will have to get brought back later on in life, I think. Right now we're going to go ahead and kind of go through this project and figure out the starting point. I think first things first is probably getting this front axle kind of positioned back sort of where it would have been, and get that back on jack stands just to kind of figure out spacing, like how much we're going to stretch the wheelbase so that we don't have to tub the firewall. We're going to try and get the axle into place and then figure out some sort of arbitrary wheelbase number that we're going to shoot for. And then it's go time. Then it's time to start cutting on this thing. Cutting it up. This is a 73 GMC, I guess, which is pretty cool. And Mark had bought this from a friend of his. It used to be a swap meet hauling truck and was always just kind of stoked on the patina of it and the fact that it's a GMC. So just a rad little truck. And hopefully when it's all said and done, it still has sort of this same look, but is on giant tires, flexes like crazy, has a good running engine, and is crawling over rocks. That'll be the goal. The goal. Check that out. We're kind of going through the process of making sure the frame is level and square-ish. I mean, it's an old 2-wheel drive frame. It is flexy as can be, so we're kind of going through making sure the frame is somewhat level and square. Mark's on the chop saw, and he's building some temporary spacers that we're going to use to put in here to eliminate the rubber bushings that it has. The rubber bushings could be different sizes all around this thing. So we're gonna make some 1-inch metal spacers, get the cab sitting square on the frame, and then we can really get busy. It's a miracle. That one came out. Awesome. Man, the cab's heavy with that engine transmission hanging in it. So building one of these things on the fly is just a ton of figuring it out as you go. And Mark has this adjustable sign material. This is 1 3/4 inch. So we're gonna cut some 2-inch chunks of this. We'll be able to ream this hole out to probably a 1/2 inch or 9/16. And then we'll use those as temporary body mounts in here. A little more. All right. It's kind of sketchy because we got the weight of the transmission and transfer case also hanging here. but we will prevail. That works pretty good there. This like pre-drilled stop sign material is always good to have around. I don't recommend stealing it from signs on the road, but if you can get it legit,
I got
that stuff's awesome. You get it from your scrap guy had some?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it looks like it's holding the weight just fine. We've got our spacers in here for the body mounts, and now we're just kind of trying to square this frame. It's rolled in quite a bit. Give it another, that's 89 point, right there, stop there. That's 89.8. Let's go set this on the other side and see where we're at with that. We're just trying to get this frame as square as possible. We both realize that it's not going to be perfect, but 89.9 right there is not bad. We've got a spreader bar in here to like sort of help, and a bottle jack over there. So I think the next move will be actually tack a piece of metal in that can stay in for quite a while, but doesn't get in our way as far as building other brackets and stuff. So we're gonna end up cutting a piece that kind of fits about where those oval slots are, and we'll tack that in place, make sure the tacks are in a spot we can cut out. But then I think at that point we've got this chassis kind of, the chassis and the body proportions are all kind of like right where they need to be. All right, going in. Jeez. All right, I'm in. So the goal on this is basically to get it to where we can like take the pressure off of this bar here, take the jack out, and then the like weight of the cab doesn't really squish the frame in too much. So this needs to be attached pretty well, but it doesn't need to be like fully welded in. All right, let's see if this thing kind of plays nice. Undo this guy. That didn't move at all. That was good. Mark that temporary spreader bar out of there. Sweet. I think the cab and the frame are where they're gonna live. Look at that. Look at that. Boom. All right, we're gonna figure out the next step and keep moving on this thing. It's not even noon yet on day one. We're doing pretty good. Mark's gonna be out here trying to get the front fenders off of this front clip just so we can kind of mess with fenders and wheel placement easier, and then maybe trim it for the big tires. It's gonna be a chore. All this stuff always has like a little more work involved than you hope. But it'll be good. Get that thing to where it's like easier pieces to work with so that when he's back in here thrashing on it, he can throw a fender on it whenever he wants. Deal that attaches the frame down to the lift here, and then we can start kind of manipulating this axle around, figure out tire placement, and then it's almost go time. Then we can start the project. We're just kind of doing preliminary stuff now, but we're moving along. That piece of angle is pretty good being mounted to the lift like that. And then I'm just gonna go ahead and tack this to the frame. And that should just sort of keep the bob up and down at bay without like... Look at that. Getting better by the minute. Mark brought the fender back in. We're gonna kind of do a loose mock-up of the fender just to kind of figure out where like front tire is gonna wanna live and things like that. Mark's getting the cherry picker all shortened up. We're gonna try to run it in from the front side here. We're gonna pick up the axle and get it up close to the frame, kind of find our bottoming out point, and then get the jack stands under it, start figuring all that stuff out. If you notice, there's already a couple of tabs tacked on the axle and a couple tabs tacked to the frame back there. So we're part way through getting a 4-link put on the front of this thing, but there's the upper bars, which are going to be the one that's so much work. First things first, though, we got to get the axle kind of in place. Dude, just when the knuckles swing, it's like the weight transfer is huge. Yeah, we probably need to like make a tie rod of some sort. Before you get too far, let's rotate it and see if we can get the pinion up a little bit. One more. Maybe. There it is. Perfect. It's funny, the Dana 60 is like stressing out everything. That's why we used to build things on Toyota axles. We got the axle kind of close to its spot. Right now we're going to throw a piece of angle iron in here to kind of act like a tie rod. That'll just keep these knuckles from wanting to flop. We're going to then start figuring out the actual axle placement and kind of like how high this thing can come up before either we got to start chopping the frame or calling it good enough. And there's going to be a lot of measuring involved to make sure that we don't lose all our up travel because of the oil pan on the engine and things like that. So we're going to bolt that in real quick and then start figuring out where this thing's actually going to live. I'm waiting on a FaceTime call from a friend of mine, and I want to run some numbers by him. This truck is going to end up with a triangulated 4-link in the front, which is pretty unconventional, and I want to see if we're getting enough angle out of the stuff that, well, out of the place that we have to work with. So waiting on a phone call. Oh, okay, here we go. I'm clicking it now. Oh dang, I got a big old zit brewing on my face. Maybe it's a bug bite. There we go. All right, I got Mark on the camera.
What's up, Mark?
Filming. So let me show you. We're working on it's a Squarebody Chevy C10 73, so it's pre-smog here in California. And we're setting it up with a Dana 60 in the front. And it's going to be full hydro, so it's got like a Artec truss and all that in it.
Okay.
Trying to do a double triangulated 4-link on the front of this thing. And I wanted to get your idea if I need to go with the uppers inside the frame or if I'm going to be able to get away with going uppers on the outside of the frame here.
Uh-huh. If you're doing double triangulated and you're going outside the frame,
yeah,
you're gonna not get very much triangulation, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. And hang on. We're gonna be running about a 40-inch bar. So it's like I can triangulate about that much in the front before the tire's getting all into the upper link bar. And then the lowers are going to be quite a bit more than that. The lowers I can get quite a bit of angle out of those.
Okay.
So I'm feeling like if this was a street car, I feel like that is more than enough triangulation.
Yeah,
but
should be good.
But slamming it.
You want to keep them somewhat close to the same triangulation. So it doesn't do funny stuff on articulation.
Yeah, and get like a bunch of steer out of it.
Yeah, just weird stuff.
Okay, so on the angle here, if I go to just where he had the minimum amount of triangulation on the lowers is here, but if I want to bring it into the transmission a little bit farther, I can get it about like so.
Yeah.
And then the uppers, yeah, if I put the uppers inside the frame, we're going to end up having to cut this frame in half or step it up like another 4 inches.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with it being outside. Just, you know, you're just going to have to clearance it and then to get structure out there for it to be strong enough, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and like, I haven't put this on film yet, but I'm gonna end up cutting the bottom of the doors and doing 2x6 for like a rock slider through here.
Okay, yeah.
And
good meat out there.
yeah, so there's gonna be meat there, and then it'll have like a 2x3 rectangle tube that goes in from the backside of the rock slider to the frame, and that's gonna eliminate this whole front body mount. So the whole body mount and that stock structure there is gonna be gone. That way I can get, I'm just going to use a generic link bracket, but it'll be right up against the bottom of the floor.
Okay.
So I should have probably 6 or 7 inches of separation at the frame, and I'll probably have more like 9 or 10 at the axle.
Yeah, that should be plenty.
Okay.
I think I'm usually right in the front 5 3/4 to 6 separation. And then on the front axle housing, I'm 9 1/2, and then the rear 10 1/2.
Okay.
And about the same separation on the frame.
Okay. Yeah, I just figured more separation on the frame should keep it to where it's not just like pitching, getting rid of all the caster as it droops out.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I guess my main concern is if I can get enough triangulation out of this without going inside of the frame rails. And at the same time trying to figure out if the tire's just going to crash into the bar.
Yeah.
Rad, how's your project? What are you doing on it that you said you're not stoked on? Oh, geez.
I mean, it's not that I'm not. I'm trying to do the same thing you're doing, and I'm putting tubes in. Like, I don't have no SolidWorks or nothing. I'm just kind of building it as I go, and I kind of know where I wanted it.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to get like a whole bunch of up travel and stuff.
Yeah.
So everything's just kind of crammed in here. It's freaking crazy.
Yeah, so, and your axle is completely in front of the engine. I've got to deal with like crank pulley and everything like that too, because like on this the crank pulley is gonna want to live right where the top of that truss is. So we're going to end up cutting a bunch of that out, I'm sure, just to make room for the crank pulley and the oil pan. But I feel like if the links are farther out here, it won't be hard to get the strength back in it. It's not like I'm trying to triangulate like right up in here.
Do you have the motor mounts cut out of that thing?
Yeah, there's nothing. This was a 2-wheel drive, so this whole K-member just like unbolted. We've got it back and we've got it up. This has like an SM465 and then a 203, 205 doubler.
Okay.
So we've got the motor back a little bit and we've got it up a little bit.
Right on.
So
The truck has a lot of room, so you can cut that whole thing. You already got the firewall started cutting it out. Just keep on cutting.
Yeah.
Look at this one.
I know. That's rad.
Yeah.
All right.
You got a lot of truck to cut.
Yeah.
The Jeeps are kind of small.
Yeah.
Well, square bodies are kind of small.
Yeah.
Big.
Yeah, we were building an S10, but he didn't fit in it, so we had to like pivot and scrap that and start building a full size. So.
Well, I think you'll like that full size better anyway.
It should be good. All right.
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna figure out this axle placement and start like at least throwing some masking tape in here and seeing where it's gonna live.
Right on. Are you on a table right now? Is that what it's on?
It's just one of those 4-post lifts.
Oh, okay.
So it's pretty sketchy. He had sort of lost momentum on it because he was like under there trying to like shimmy the transmission around, and the front axle fell off the jack stands and almost killed him. So.
Yeah, don't be doing that.
Yeah.
Front axle forward and cutting the fenders.
He wants to keep headlights in it, in like the stock grill. So we're gonna push the axle forward basically until we can trim like this section off, but like keep the grill,
Yeah, for sure.
keep the like headlights and stuff. All right. Well, I appreciate you taking the call. We're going to get in here and probably have a beer and figure this out.
Right on. Well, you guys have fun, man. I'll talk to you soon, Dave.
Take care. See you, Shannon.
Take care.
How do you turn this thing off? Rad. All right. He basically said cut it, scrap the whole thing, push the motor all the way up to the sky, get the travel you need. So Mark and I got to like talk about this a little bit and see what we're up to. Pretty rad. All right, we're kind of messing around with steering angles and figuring out what's going on. With how much angle this thing is capable of getting, the tire it's telling us that the upper link bars need to be inside the frame, triangulated out to create sort of a pocket right in this area for the tire to be able to steer. I kind of spoiled the news when I was on the phone with Shannon, but we're going to end up doing rock sliders on this that are grafted into the body, and they're up quite a bit higher. So this is going to have a rock slider that's basically welded in like right through here. It'll be made out of 2x6 heavy wall tubing, and it'll stick out a little bit. But we also want to like have it extend back here so that it protects the front edge of the body on the bed. And then it also needs to extend forward so that it basically will cut the bottom of the fender off and get rid of all that old rusty metal, and it'll have a rock slider that comes all the way to there. If you come over here, you can see this is my old 73 Toyota pickup, and it had a very similar deal. This was a 2x6 piece of tubing grafted into the body, and the rocker panel was all cut off. And that's basically the style we want to do. And you can see here it extended past the cab and replaced the bottom of the front edge of the bed. So we're kind of going for the same look on here. We'll end up cutting higher up, whereas on that truck I didn't actually cut the door. This truck we're going to cut the bottom edge of the door off, and Mark will end up capping that off after the fact. So I think that's going to be kind of our next step, is figuring out how far forward we need it to sit, how far back we need that to sit, and then figuring out our line to cut. If we can get sort of that cut and maybe a piece tacked in there today, that would be rad. When all of that is said and done, it's also going to allow us to eliminate that rusty old rocker box body mount there and the big body mount on the frame, and that'll give us room for our 4-link bar to go and mount. All right, enough talk. Let's cut and grind and weld. And cut and grind and weld some more. You ever tried to take a bed off of a truck with 4 engineers? This is what's going on. Hey, that's not bad.
All right, so we need 2 men on the front of the bed.
You don't think the bed's going to try and slide down the boom?
Yeah. The best stories come from bad ideas.
Hey, why don't we can strap the boom or C-clamp the boom? You got a C-clamp?
This is Brody. You may have met him on past Dirthead sheds. Remember,
Safety third.
look at me.
Safety third?
Safety starts with S, but begins with you. This is going to be rad. This 4 people, 4 people are somehow going to get hurt in this deal.
Yeah, I mean, we might have to go higher to get over the tires.
Are we clear? Well, now me and Dave can pull back.
Oh, yeah, we got to go up a bunch.
Go up another 6 inches.
So we could probably
pull down. You guys.
Shh. Let's lower the truck like a little bit.
Oh.
Yeah, I see that. Everybody on the way?
Yeah.
Lower the truck. It's going up. It's going up.
We just needed a couple of strapping young dudes at the front corners. Yeah.
All right, ready?
And Brody and I'll walk it out.
Walk it out again.
Oh my gosh. It's going sideways.
Body. She's going cattywampus.
What's your oh, stop.
Now you got it. You got it. Hit it with speed.
Somehow we cleared that.
Watch your toes.
Oh my gosh. Giant brains.
That would work.
Dave's on.
I was gonna hook the chain around the strap, but
No, this is far safer.
yeah,
Totally safe.
that was way better.
All right.
We got this.
Let's go check out this square body.
Yeah, you look like you had it all
You just
figured out.
wanted to show it to
I
you,
did,
by
I-
the way.
I went to the store. I got some broccoli. I took it home. Hot chocolate broccoli.
Are we cutting on top of the line or right on it or under it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Whatever you
Say,
say.
Heck yeah. You know somebody's gonna be mad that we cut up these perfect doors.
I mean, they're rust free.
Where's my wheel man? You ever just jam the gear at the last second and it helps loosen it?
Yes.
It's not recommended.
I say no.
$50.
Nope, it's just duct tape. This thing's pretty clean, dude. Pretty clean. We should cut this bottom part off and throw it on eBay. We just got done cutting the other door and jamming Bitchin' Camaro on the radio, and Mark's neighbor Rob just brought over some pretty rad parts. Check that out.
That's what happens when you have bitchin' neighbors.
Yeah. Are those 2.5? 2.5 inch solid bar, 2 1/4 solid bar.
2.25, 2.5.
Heck yeah. We got like solid aluminum 70-75 lower links for this. Did you just fart?
I did.
Rip one?
Sorry.
Ah, it's gonna be so good. All right, it's day 2 in the shop. I got here a little bit late because I was working on a video, and Mark's already out here chopping the cab, getting ready to slide those the new rock sliders in, crushing it. So you can really see like the plan here is to slide that square tube in or the rectangle tube in, and it'll end up getting welded to a bunch of this upper portion. And then once that's in, then we can cut the whole bottom portion off, and we'll have like that big heavy duty slider is going to be the first thing that hits rocks. So that'll be cool. And then we can basically get to the back side of that and do our kickers in. That'll also give us a good spot for like roll cage to land on later on. But if we can get the tubing in for the sliders today, and we had figured out some ways to re-engineer a frame section in the front here. I'll probably start messing with that this morning, and that'll be a way that we get more up travel and have clearance for those link bars. So it's gonna be busy. I think Brody will be back. Ted might be back later. And hopefully at the end of the day, we're crushing it on this thing. Mark's got this front portion almost cut out. Pretty neat. All that rust is gonna be gone once we're all done with that. I'm creating sort of a frame rail for the front. If we're going with the link inside like we were talking yesterday, we need all this up travel and we need room for the link, the joint to fit in here. So I just went and made some strips of 3-inch cardboard, and I'm doing my trick here where you kind of like fit it in, and then I will like I'll mark this, and I'll connect the dots here and here. And when I take this out, that'll give me like the exact angles to cut this 3-inch square tubing in the chop saw. Okay, here's that template. This is gonna be the kick up. This will be the kick up and then that top frame piece. And I can just sort of take this tape off of here, and I'm going to transfer that onto this 2x3 3/16 wall tubing, and that's going to become our new front portion of the frame rail. And even if it seems a little bit small for such a big truck, you got to remember there's going to be a shock tower, there's going to be a new core support like cage, and then this is all going to be tied into the roll cage as well by the time it's done. So don't trip too much on like making everything that used to be the stock frame super heavy, because super heavy doesn't always mean, it's not always necessary by the time you're done and you build a roll cage and sliders and shock mounts and all that stuff. So I'm gonna drag out the metal cutting saw and we'll chop these up. I've got these pieces cut and ground and beveled so that I get a good weld on them. And now I'm kind of laying, I got one tacked already, and then I'm laying the second one on top of it. And then and that makes sure they're both like totally symmetrical to each other. I'm also making sure that the seams, the weld seam is on the inside when I go to build this. That way you don't look at the frame and then see this big old weld seam even after it's painted. Check it out. This thing is sort of in place. I just got to go in here and trim the frame, and we can French that thing in there. I'm just going to use the existing frame sort of as a jig for it. We'll set the pieces in on both sides, and then I'll build the front cross member. And once all that's in, then we can lop this whole front frame clip off. This is going to be pretty wild. That's going to give us all kinds of up travel and hopefully not get in the way of the small block Chevy too much, like with header clearance, but I think we'll be okay. Tall Ted showed up, and we're gonna get rid of the workbench on the bed, and he's gonna go through and like cut the bed sides away from the bed floor, and then we might actually shorten them up a bunch because this thing's gonna end up with a bobbed bed, so it'll be kind of like shorter than short bed length. So we're gonna throw the bed on sawhorses and start chopping away on that thing. Tall Ted, I need an update. All right, good time. I've got these frame rails like clamped in a million places, making sure they're like square to each other, cross measuring. Mark just clamped some plates under the bottom, and that way we have like a landing pad for that front cross member to sit on. I think we're ready to tack this puppy in. We've cross measured, we've like front to back, as much as we can do. I think, are you good with it?
I think it's good.
He says it's good. All right, let's weld this thing up. This thing's gonna look so sick once we cut that out. We good?
It's good.
Good enough? up, Mike?
It's okay. See your handiwork.
We are cutting and grinding like crazy on this thing.
You say cutting and grinding or cussing and grinding?
Yeah.
More room to articulate now.
Yeah. Should be able to undo that little thing.
You need to hold on to it while you're doing it or not?
Yeah, go ahead and put a hand on it. I think I've got a spot over here still that's connected, but that's all right. Okay.
That's all right.
Look at that. Look at how simple it looks now. Holy cow.
Look at all the room for activities.
Jeez. That's great. Major progress was made today. Ted got the bed all cut up. It's got the bed sides like completely taken off from the bed floor and front panel. Mark has chopped up the rockers and got those cleaned up, basically ready to weld that tube in there. So, and then I just got done doing a little, basically I just welded the axle to the frame section here so that it's like in the right spot all the time and we're not messing around with jack stands anymore. This will get cut out after the 4-link is done, but we're pretty close. I also got the lower link tabs tacked in. They're basically where Mark had put them before. And if you look, if you line sight from here to that link bracket back there, they're pretty much dialed in. So it's 41 inches from this tab to that tab. And these link bars that Mark's neighbor Rob made, they're like 41 inches with the joints and stuff in them. So we're pretty much like right on. This thing's gonna be awesome. We've got room for, ride height will be about 2 inches taller than that. And it'll have about 5 inches of up travel, which is pretty awesome. And then we're gonna have a belly pan height, or the lowest point here on the link mount is gonna be about 18 off the ground with 40s on it. It's gonna be a super low riding, good looking, hopefully well performing truck too, because it's gonna have so much up travel and down, so stoked. Ton of work happening over the last couple days. All right, Saturday morning, walk through the minefield of Ted's work. He got that stuff all cut up. That was awesome. Those bed sides are incredibly heavy. Mark's over here sweeping up. He messed around last night and got one of these link bars put together and in place. Pretty awesome. We still need like a couple inches of up travel when it's all said and done, so it may need a little bit of a notch in the frame there for the link bar, but all in all, like the proportions of this thing are coming out so good. All right, we're kind of running down to the wire. I think what I'm gonna do today is actually start doing the back half frame section. I'm gonna do it really similar to how we did the front, where I build the portions ahead of time and then we'll probably set it on the chassis and use the chassis to kind of act as the jig. We know that we're gonna end up trying to go for either like a 114 or a 116 inch wheelbase, which that's gonna put the new rear axle centered about where this little nub is. I know that I can kick up here, come back, and as long as we get a rear cross member back behind where the differential would be, then we've got room. I'll probably end up figuring out like if the center line of the wheel's here and then figure out how far back the bed will hang out. That way we can get a section of frame that's pretty close to where the back of the bed is. And that'll be kind of a good spot. It'll have plenty of kick up for the added travel, and it'll just sort of simplify and clean all of this stuff up. So Let me start cutting some pieces. I'll make some cardboard templates just like I did before so that we can get that up and into the right position. This should be fun. It'll be really cool if we're able to cut this whole back half off and like roll this old axle out of here and everything before I leave. Get through it, crushing. All right, that should be all the pieces for the back of the frame half. I'm gonna clean all this stuff up and tack it together kind of like we did the front. This one's gonna be hard because I got a little bit of a gap and it's 1/8 inch, not 3/16. Gonna have to go with the old stitch weld. Let me turn this thing down a little bit. See if we can do a better job on this one. I kind of screwed up on the other one. I've got kind of a, you can see here I V'd it, but then I've also got like a little bit of a gap. So that part where there's a gap, I'm gonna have to kind of stitch weld it, and then when it gets closer, then I can kind of run my bead. But regardless, this section's probably gonna end up with an overlay or a fish plate at some point in time. So I'll do my best right now. All right, I'm kind of getting down to the good stuff now. Anytime you're butt welding tubing like this, it's always like a challenge to get the right amount of V or the right amount of gap to make sure the thing is super strong. And when in doubt, you fish plate it. All right, I'll sand that up a little bit, and then we'll figure out where we're gonna notch the frame, set them in, square it off, cut it, weld it, cut. Cool. Dude, we're back halfing this thing by like lunchtime. Well, it's kind of lunchtime. This is like how you fix rusty frame rails, right?
Yeah, you just have Dave come do it.
Brad, does it look good from over there?
Oh, it looks awesome right there.
You ready for it? I'm worried this thing's gonna hit the deck. Okay. Woo! The whole back of your truck's just like hanging from a thread right now. Literally. This little Home Depot ratchet strap is like, don't do this to me. Ready?
Ready?
Yep. Oh gosh. It's getting real now. Yes, so good. I think my work here is done. I gotta hit the road heading up to Fred's house. Thanks for letting me play trucks. This thing's gnarly. We just cut this thing in half in the front, welded it all back together, cut it in half in the back. It's all welded back together. Dude, this thing is gnarly. Mark, your Rockcrawler is now harder core than my Rockcrawler, by far.
Well, that's your fault.
I know, I need to go cut my car in half. Oh, this is wild. All right, I'm gonna hit the road and go pick up my Typhoon at Fred's. There we go, I made it to Fred's. I got the Typhoon all loaded up and strapped down. I'm gonna hit the road back home from here. Let me know what you want to see on this thing and if I need to get back down to Mark's house. I hope you guys liked this episode. It was really good getting to see some buddies and making videos on it all. We'll see you guys next week.